those better champions, but because he has been so hard focused, and especially I think in contrast to a player like 369, it's going to be a bit dangerous to go for that one. So I don't think we're going to get Cassante, but I also you do have to worry about potential jungle champions coming out here, especially the flex of things like Mbessa for Invictus Gaming.
Speaking on those junglers, Jwei is in such an interesting position as that Rumble does end up going over to Soboro. So we saw in Demacia Cup, right? The only reason I want to lean on some of that is he played a lot of carry junglers, really successful there. Haven't seen that same success. So I'm curious to see in a matchup way, we do feel like he is favored in the jungle compared to other Group Ascent junglers. What does he go towards? It's the Pantheon and Mbessa here for top esports, so a lot of dive threat, a lot of, you know, map pressure that they're trying to bring out already with their Game 1 style.
Interesting. And not only do they now have a bit of an aggressive dive core for top esports, you're also getting rid of two really important champions for Jwei's pool as we go further in this series. Again, with Fearless, those are two champions that I think Jwei would really like to get his hands on as the series goes on. So effectively, this is now 3 champions out of Jwei's pool that is no longer going to be available now with the Vi locked in. Vi has great setup alongside this Rumble, but can be a little squishy, and I think with what top esports are showing, depending on if we get like an Akali in mid lane, or we get more of that Rise that I was mentioning with Creme, I think it's going to be very dangerous for our top esports to pull off.
This is really funny. This is one of those scenarios where I feel like if you swap around the mid laners with the junglers, you like the pairings a bit more. I guess you know, it's early season. Ooh, okay. I was like, I gotta stop falling for hovers. That's rule number 1 when you get back in. But luckily, didn't fall for that one. We're getting the Creme Ahri, so already a little uneasy. This is definitely a champion that he has not performed up to the standard we expect of him on. He's been a lot more comfort leaning as of late, and this is not one of those.
And you know, you trade the... I would personally like to play top esports side of the draft with the mid jungle, but it is reliant on NaiYou having to be able to step forward, and that could always be interrupted with things like a Vault Breaker coming in from the Vi, or Rookie just placing down this Unraveler. So let's get into the second phase of draft here. Bans already starting to come through with top esports getting rid of the Nautilus. I do think that Rel and Alistar become instant premier picks here, especially because we don't know which AD carrier we're going to see. My mind is going to immediately go towards Yunar, but it seems like Yunar is starting to drop off a little bit in priority from what we saw from the last series.
Yeah, I do want to mention for JiaQi has been the biggest Jhin merchant so far this season. So I think it is his most played AD carry. Maybe the Varus is also up there because it feels like it is up there for every AD carry. He's one of the guys that goes towards Jhin, so I want to keep that champion out there, especially looking at kind of a long-range dive comp where you could argue putting a Jhin with a curtain call behind a Pantheon and a Mbessa and Ahri dive could work if you want that extra safety, and it's something that you're not going to expect to see from Photic.
Alistar, Nautilus, 2 champions we called out before, gone now, and with Bard, this does allow for you to go for some more enchanters. I know Fengyue and Jwei haven't been the biggest support players to pick these 2 up, but you already have a fair amount of engage from your jungles on both sides. I don't think it's all that bad, and if you get a Lulu versus something like a Vi, you completely nullify their ability to dive on you in later game scenarios.
All right, for top esports, what we got to think here is, am I willing to give Rel for maybe one of those enchanter angles? Because I think Jwei is going to immediately take up the Rel. They're going to go for the Misfortune for JiaQi, so a pretty simple, stable AD carry pick. I feel like Jwei is just going to slam the Rel. This feels like the most obvious Rel angle for him. He
could be Rel, it could be Rakan. Yeah. Honestly,
okay,
Rakan for what they're showing is good. There are a couple of AD carries. Misfortune gives them brute force. I think top esports already rounding themselves out with a very early game skewed composition, strong lanes, the ability to move in between on the map is really, really good for them. Now for IG, Sivir's great in the lane duels. I think, again, for what you're talking about, if you could step up on mid-wave, I still like what top esports have. And the Rel is just going to be a takeaway so they don't get that massive combo for JiaQi. Yeah,
that's the fear. Also, you bring a little more tankiness instead of the elusiveness of a Rakan. This Poppy, though, I mean, this could really be kind of an X-Factor pick, right, All? To just kind of shut down so much of the IG engage with Steadfast presence.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of like a more aggressive variant of like a Bard, because if he lands that verdict, you're out of a fight. Talia can't rejoin, Rumble can't rejoin, Rel's not going to be able to get there in time. So I need to see strong laning phase. We said that some of the criticism we had for top esports was some of their laners not really performing. Well, now you have decent matchups in almost every single one of these lanes, and I'm expecting not only Creme and 369 to step up, but NaiYou on this Pantheon to have a huge influence with him in the mid jungle.
Yeah, curious to see even how the early pathing looks, because for the IG side, Jwei on this Vi, it's one of those junglers that is pretty susceptible to early invades. It really needs time on our first clear protected, and like you're talking about, with not a lot of good lane matchups. NaiYou, I think, really made his name on LGD and then later on NIP, willing to be aggressive early in the jungle. Most of the time he's playing some of these carry champions, but the Pantheon does work. Can he now do that against bigger competition? The big thing with NaiYou is, though he played a lot of time last year in the LPL Alc, how many series did he get against real Group Ascent teams? Very little, maybe a couple throughout the entire year.
That's true. It only really happened when we had NIP joining up in Group Ascend, and even that was a little bit rocky. So it's tough. I want to see him really step up because he's kind of been in and out of the league. This was kind of his... Last year was more of a big breakout year for him. Rare Adam didn't really serve him too well, so this is a big jump up. I mean, it's Kanavi's seat that you're filling in now, and you know you're joining a roster of potentially some of the best players we've had domestically and even internationally speaking in 369, and JiaQi Love winning if he comes back. So excited to see. We've got our first game coming right up here between Top Esports and Invictus Gaming.
All right. Our last matchup of the night. And, I was going to wait for the JiaQis, but we're not waiting for the JiaQis at the bottom lane. All right, that's, let's take stock of Summoners. Slight advantage to the Top Esports bottom lane just because Photic burnt his barrier alongside the trade of heal.
Ooh, here we go. Early invades, great with Pantheon. Vi also did take a little bit of damage. I wonder if that was just, NaiYou walking into the jungle and pushing him out. We haven't seen a lot of invades early on because of the change to this season. I mean, minions coming out faster, jungle camp spawning a lot quicker, means that there's no time for level 1s. And if we're just going to split the map here, I do think this is slightly advantage to Top Esports. Already a pretty big investment here from Invictus Gaming, losing almost every summoner now in the bottom lane. Yeah,
and markedly double summoner advantage for JiaQi. So this should even further propel that lane safety, but do have to now keep in mind, like you mentioned with the invades, that IG should most of the time have Jwei covering towards this bottom side. Maybe that's why you see, despite all this aggressive trading, that Photic and Jwei felt more than comfortable enough to shove that wave and get the crash, but NaiYou's actually broke. So we've actually already broken the vertical jungle. How does Jwei not lose hella camps for this?
Like, he had the ward. They knew that he was on. He goes to enemy raptors, so they just trade a single camp with each other. And NaiYou was trying to be sneaky, but he never actually landed any of his, or he got spotted in mid-wave when he was trying to sneak around. So they know exactly where this Pantheon is. I'm not really looking at the bottom lane wave right now unless NaiYou decides to completely ruin his jungle path and come down here. I'm looking at the top wave that's going to be bouncing back soon. And that could be something where Top Esports look to get a summoner spell out from Soboro, who, again, has been a liability in some of these games early on.
The only thing you really take away from bottom lane right now is these next couple of minutes, you've got summoners off of both these bottom laners, especially the flashes. So how much does that inhibit any playmaking for a player like Jwei, who looks to make plays much to the detriment of his own health bar most of the time? We will have to see. For now, though, we do see NaiYou slipping under some vision. Rookie could get jumped on. Flash is going to have to use. He's actually going to instead burn the cleanse for the charm. Lucky to get some serious damage onto Creme, or that could have been a lot more disastrous.
Wow, Rookie has been more, we didn't touch on this, but Rookie has been a little bit more willing to opt for different spells coming in. We've seen him on the Ghost before in mid lane. It's kind of similar to what we got from Knight in their matchup. And now taking the cleanse, I think he recognizes that if he's ever going to play or do well enough in this lane, he has to have this cleanse to get around NaiYou and Creme. Early jungle pathing wise, though, I think a small advantage going over to Jwei. He still gets the respawn raptors on his side. He's going to get this bottom side scuttle, and NaiYou still hasn't really impacted the map in that same manner. So I think this is good starting off for IG. Maybe he gets 2 scuttle camps, or even just Creme's life.
All right, yep, Vault Breaker lands. Creme flashes over the seismic shove. But a good look there from Jwei. You don't normally see Vi's get great looks pre-level 6, but it's a good one from Jwei nonetheless.
So nothing happened topside. Soboro still farming. Sivir got over with hasn't even taken her full back yet, but is going to be able to soon. And is just completely fine. We're just shoving this wave underneath the turret versus JiaQi. Like, I don't know how you're supposed to be able to play this early on right now. Even the mid lane, we didn't get too much. We lost the summoner spell in mid. So Top Esports need to kind of get it together here. There's still a lot of opportunity. The fact that Rookie still has flash is, I think, impressive enough.
Ooh, Fengyue, good to cancel the crash down with that steadfast presence. But definitely a very aggressive look there. Good little trap set from IG's bottom lane. Trade that heal right back out. And as you mentioned, right, this is definitely what we saw from draft was that Top Esports are bringing a comp that really needs to hit early. Already not necessarily leaning on their lane leads we were expecting as much in mid and bottom lane, but this is a comp that cannot kind of slow down with adversity because they are kind of letting a Quiet Beast and Photic scale up, and Soboro is only going to become more problematic as this game goes on as well.
369's close to level 6 here. He was waiting to see if Soboro would do something to try to force the issue. Instead, is just going to keep squeezing Arcane Comet procs down onto him. NaiYou, not close to level 6, but is starting to make his way down. The topside scuttle is spawning here, and Creme should have level 6, so I do want to see Top Esports start to move, whether that is looking onto Rookie or just invading into the topside jungle so we can get those grubs, or the grubs spawning in 2.5 minutes.
Good little charm combo there from Creme is going to force Rookie out of lane. Has that ultimate advantage pressure. Here comes Jwei, though. No cease and desist. 369 has everything available to him. Public execution is going to whiff. Good flash there from Jwei to make sure that doesn't come across. But Soboro tanks up a huge amount of the aggro.
Jwei's dead.
One more turret shot, and he's going to trade it. 369 makes it pay for IG's first blood take.
And he still has teleport, so he'll get back into this lane feeling okay on the trade. Soboro, don't die to minions. If you do this to me, I'm going to be heartbroken.
Not when the shot is showing, please. Okay. That would
yeah,
really
that would have been
timing.
extra embarrassing. Yeah, NaiYou will get the dragon, so while that first blood gold is going to feel nice for Invictus Gaming, I think the fact that he was able to outplay that is kind of lucky, honestly, because that should have been NaiYou trying to cover topside. It's been 3 waves now that Soboro's been slamming into 369, and he still missed out on some of that. So a small mistake, maybe miscoordination from the jungle and top lane of Top Esports.
And again, with how these topsides are positioned, it's just going to be so much about the execution, especially on these junglers for any sort of big plays. Good to see Jwei, though, out on the map first, and he's even looking for more here to catch Creme over the wall. Cease and desist, Vault Breaker, Seismic Shove, all this is thrown down, but Creme still walks out. Cleanse from Rookie, flashes away from NaiYou's chain. Jwei looking for a Vault Breaker reset. The Weaver's Wall going to make sure NaiYou has no room for escape. Nice little play there from Rookie to make sure IG's mid-jungle duo comes out on top.
Playing with imperfect information, and IG completely punished them.
Oh
now
my god,
Fengyue!
Photic has to flash over the bullet time. Nice little angle found there on the Poppy.
They get the push in bottom lane. They'll reset here, but I mean, Creme still hasn't recalled, man. I maybe just trying to get a little bit more time before his teleport comes through, but Rookie's going to have his reset. He'll come back on the map just a little bit faster than his opponent. And we have Herald, or the grub spawning in 30 seconds. I need to see IG start to make a move here. Jwei even gets stuck now in this bottom lane. This is a good set of plays here for Top Esports, even if they are the ones who are currently suffering.
Yeah, JiaQi's gotten back a hold of that slight gold lead. And it's always such an interesting conversation, right? Because you mentioned the grubs coming up. But with those support quests, it's been interesting to see which supports really prioritize hanging out in the lane a bit longer to try and get close to those. But as we've seen this season go on, Hulk, I feel like we've seen supports move more and more early, knowing that grubs are such a higher priority than any sort of quest the support has to push for in the lane.
Who cares about support quests, guys? Like, I'm sorry, you guys already have like some really broken champions and what you can do on the map. You're not tied to just playing in bottom lane past
-1
minutes. It wasn't like yesterday. That -1 yesterday was crazy disgusting. So, all right. Right now it is IG with priority. Jwei's here in mid lane. Fengyue tried to skip this mid wave, but it means that Creme is now stuck underneath his turret, and the top laners will not join. I think this is Jwei grabbing 2 grubs at least for himself.
Ooh, the 1 HP smite coming out there from Jwei just to secure it. NaiYou walks himself back in, but Jwei sees a double stun combination. There's the Velvet Carpet layer down by Soboro. But NaiYou kind of just shrugs off a lot of this damage. So a huge amount of usage from summoners and ultimates coming down there from IG just to secure these grabs. Pulling excuse to re-engage, comes across 369. Soboro's fine to engage until he sees NaiYou fly on in. He has to flash away from the Grand Starfall.
Creme.
Soboro should be able to run out until Creme comes over the wall, hits a clutch charm, and finally secures the kill the top esports were looking for.
I like the re-engagement there. They even thought about potentially bringing JiaQi over for this play, but it is still going to be IG grabbing at least one of these grubs and trying to make good on at least another mid lane plate here. Maybe Jwei just re-engages.
Cease and desist, and NaiYou does get the grub, but Rookie can't get over the wall to secure enough damage, so Jwei's gonna have to get it done on his own. Nice little three-piece combo. Jwei gets the kill, but I do believe that was 2 grubs going over to top esports at the end of the day.
I'm kind of torn on this because on one hand, top esports, they get at least a kill on the back end, they get Soboro to flash, and they get this top wave to crash. However, just a trade in terms of raw gold that IG were able to get on the map, both in bottom lane and in mid, I think is a fine enough look. Photic survives the bullet time for now. Jwei and Jwei are on their kind of paths down towards the bottom lane. But he needs to be careful. For JiaQi, losing your summoner spells a minute before this dragon is a big bummer.
Classic just secure the wave push ultimate there from JiaQi. I wonder how close that bullet time will be to coming up, though, when that dragon does spawn back in. You obviously need that ultimate to be kind of that big brunt force you talked about out of the draft here for TES.
Seems like it'll be coming up after this. I'm a little worried, as I have been for this team. They're going to be missing a fair amount of ults coming into this fight. Cease and desist also is not off of cooldown quite yet, but Creme may be looking to buy 369 a timer down into the bottom side.
Soboro senses a looming gank, so he plays off just enough, but he has really still kept up the pressure, shoving these waves constantly down 369's gullet. Actually cancels him off of a reset he was looking for, because he's going to throw another wave right into that turret. Really could sense he wants that crystalline break on the turret, but he's still going to pick himself up a plate, so yeah. Soboro, you know, one of the lanes we were definitely a little worried about into 369. So far holding his own pretty well, and Jwei's going to maybe try this dive back again. 369 does cancel his recall. Jwei does have the cease and desist in 5 seconds, but the junglers are going to meet instead. Vault Breaker cancels the stun on a NaiYou, and they're both just going to walk their merry way for now.
Maybe we still make this play. I mean, Rookie has ultimate. The bot lane is getting shoved in. This is kind of your angle to look for here. Rookie's going to try and find NaiYou. Doesn't land anything. This is a huge investment here for IG. The longer they stay here, the less possible it is for them to contest for that upcoming dragon.
I do like the look, though, with Soboro's pressure he has in the top lane. They're going to try and steal away this blue buff. 369 TP's back in here, though. Going 1 versus 3 for the time being. He walks right into a cease and desist for some combo. 369? What was that?
He just completely ruined his lane. Now it's about whether or not JiaQi and Fengyue can get enough. Maybe they get this full first turret. That would be a reasonable enough response, but now you've lost all control on top side. They may even be potentially setting up a dive here onto NaiYou underneath this turret. There's no TP available. Creme would have to use his to get here in time.
Hey, remember when we thought we were splitting the map level 1? Nah, we're doing it into the mid-game. Perfect setup from Jwei into another rookie seismic shove, and NaiYou doesn't even get up the unbreakable wall. Another kill for IG. What a gold injection. We'll see if they can trade that first turret back. Should be able to, so they'll come away with at least 1,000 gold lead moving into our mid-game.
They'll have TPs to share. I'm really looking at Creme getting level 10 on this next wave or 2. Once he gets that, that's getting closer to level 11. Photic has to be a little bit worried here. This is probably
time.
Oh my god, he lives. This is now top esports grabbing dragon. Second dragon of the game going their way. What I want to see now is, what is this objective going to turn into? Is this going to be a fight here from Invictus Gaming, or are we going to get a really impactful dragon? Because I think something like a Hextech Soul completely gives top esports a way out of what has been a rougher early game.
We'll see exactly where the Wheel of Fortune lands on the dragons as Creme gets another cleanse out of Rookie. Fengyue's just going to speed him on out of there. The dragon does reset, though, for top esports. Soboro is just kind of walking him down out of the Dragon Pit. And nobody really wants to mess with the level 11 Rumble right now, so that kind of big win con you felt was opening up there, Dimitri, is going to slam. This door's going to be slammed shut. Fengyue goes after Rookie. Flash for flash trade. Still should be the Dragon secured here, though, for IG. And we even up at 1 apiece with an Ocean Soul on tap for our game 1.
What else can we get from this, though? I mean, Flash coming in from Talia is not bad. Now we even got the TP from Soboro. I think that is okay. It is worth it for the Dragon, I will mention. As with 369 making a pretty weird play in top lane is the way that I will describe it with that teleport. Now it's gonna, that's the payment. He gave up his teleport and lost his life and had to give up his turret and the Dragon, but now they can play with a little bit of priority potentially for the Grubs here.
Rookie flings NaiYou into the turret, but it just doesn't matter. He was half HP. Good look there from NaiYou to utilize that global to make a play. Fengyue, though, I don't know if you want to go in this brush. Wow. You never know which way they're hex flashing all.
That's very close. That would have been a situation all of a sudden here. I don't know. Slayer, when I see this map state, and potentially NaiYou getting taken out, Creme has no mana here. He is so useless in this fight.
Flashes away from Jwei's crash down. Fengyue's going to try to provide some path to least resistance out. Magnetstorm comes down, and support should just have to pay their life with Photic coming across their keeper's Furtick, though, is going to be spell shielded by Photic. Bullet time from JiaQi gets a ton of damage back out. Jwei flashes away. And with all of those ults, so much thrown down, it's actually only going to be top esports' support seeing the gray screen. Public execution on the top side, though. 369 wants to throw her hands with Soboro, mainly because he's getting help teleporting behind him. But there comes the Velvet Corporate out from Soboro. Good flash from 369, and now, well, it's Creme to try and clean up here. Flash over the wall, though. They didn't expect Soboro to throw back his hands, and he gets the trade 1-for-1. So both of our top laners outplaying 1v2s in this game 1 so far.
Soboro will not have teleport when he spawns. I need to see top esports, but JiaQi never got a recall from the bottom lane play. What are we doing? The macro in this game has been a little bit suspect already. IG, they overextended on side lanes. Remember, this play started with Rookie getting caught, and now top esports are, I think, putting a lot of investment into kind of retribution plays, almost like getting a little bit angry, like, you guys can't do this. We have to punish you.
And that can lead to some gross overextensions.
What are we doing? Rookie. Why are we TPing here?
I mean, oh my, it almost nearly didn't save the turret. I mean, that turret is a nice gust of wind from going over as we look back towards this interesting little chase down from Jwei and company.
It should have just been Rookie's kill and then leave. But we stayed on vision, by the way. They were on top of the control board the entire time of doing the grubs, or doing that the Gromp camp. This was a great charm from Creme, and I think just barely saves this play. If he gets another denting blows proc down onto this Pantheon, the guy is dead. So very clutch play. We come out of replay, and Fengyue is dead now. So top esports, I need to see your solo lanes getting gold at this point. We're not pushing mid lane versus Sivir, and Bessa's getting all of this gold in the side lane, but Soboro is showing up for team fights, and IG are just making picks.
And NaiYou's just getting caught in his own jungle. Yep, the cease and desist seismic shove, all reliable for IG. Gets themselves another kill, and well, the top side is even more the kingdom of IG, and they're going to parry that into a Rift Herald take for free.
I think right now the top esports, 369 has just not had a great game, and I think his decision-making has made this game significantly harder for his team here. Multiple times just trying to allocate gold into the side lanes, trying to get himself back into this game, but the pretty big detriment now as IG find themselves with a 2,000 gold lead, and you at least took one of the dragons. You're set up to play for that next dragon coming up in a minute.
He didn't get the eye, and he's not even going to be able to sacrifice himself for it. Oh, man. You know what stings the most, Hulk?
What's up?
We thought what we were worried about from this series is already happening. Like, the level of play, like you talked about. Ouch.
It's tough. Yeah, all right. So let's take stock of the game right now, because we do have 30 seconds. We can take a look back at what happened to Fengyue here. His team's just nowhere nearby. He gets cut off. This is a great start here with Rookie. Clean, I think, fine here for Invictus Gaming. They'll even fight for this Herald afterwards. But like, again,
what is this?
NaiYou, I don't think you're allowed to be here. you know that they have priority. Creme is picking up that wave. Photic is even, I just see it now in the bottom, in the right side of our screen. There is a bullet time used to try to force Photic away from this fight. A lot of small moving parts here, and as we come back to live, I think for fans at home, Invictus Gaming with 2 grubs, the Herald that they never even ended up picking up, they're in a great spot right now to just pick up this 3rd dragon of the game. If TES cannot either grab 3 plates on this top side or do something about this Rumble, you are in a great position as Invictus Gaming.
Yeah, and looking back at this, at this draft as well, I feel like, oh, hold on. We got the equalizer down. Soboro's just running down 369. Vault breaker over the wall. Jwei here to team up with his new look top laner, and the disappointing game for 369 only continues to get worse.
They're putting vision down on top side because there's a Baron here. If they can try to get a little bit more pressure up here, maybe if they find a pick somewhere around this mid lane, it could start off a chain of events.
Starfall. NaiYou, I assume, is playing the stall game, or he just ulted down here to get Soboro off the wave. He doesn't actually think he can take him on his own, but he's bought enough time for JiaQi to swing on over and get a very big gold influx.
That's a shutdown going over to JiaQi, but okay, he has 3,000 gold, and we haven't talked about this misfortune very much, but is he going to be able to carry? We had many big performances from JiaQi over on RNG and then later onto FPX in 2025. We haven't really yet to see a big enough game where I feel like JiaQi has reclaimed some of those team fight kingdoms that we saw from him. So with such a big lead, I'm expecting for him to be able to move his weight around the map, but misfortune can be tricky in team fights.
Oh, certainly very tricky, especially if his support gets dropped off. Fengyue out of half HP. Creme gets a good charm on a rookie, though. Fengyue goes right after rookie, but he cleanses, flashes out. Bullet time, not going to find its mark. It allows Photic to pick up the first kill. Jwei flashes right on top of that. Misfortune, who gets bouncy house out of the team fight just like that. Photic picks up a double kill. Looking for a throw with the bouncing blades. Jwei picks it up 369 into the background, trying to find himself some sort of trade. He's only going to find Jwei and find a one-way ticket straight back to the fountain. We get a quadra kill for Photic as IG have broken open our initial game.
Massive plays coming in, a huge find yet again from Invictus Gaming onto Fengyue, and once that's there, the numbers advantage goes over to them, and that fight, I really want to go back into it because I think Creme missed a fair too much of his abilities. We'll take a look in this replay. This start is great for them. A seismic shove immediately. Looks good. Creme lands this, and just not enough damage. Good dodging coming in from Creme. Again, another dodge where they're trying to see something. All of this put into Jwei doesn't mean anything. And I'm just looking at the back half of this fight. I want to watch Creme here. Tries to go on to rookie. Hits the charm. Just throws the Orb of Deception in the complete wrong direction. We saw this earlier in the top side play. Tried to flash to fix it, and from there the fight is completely doomed. This was on a knife's edge. This could have been top esports turning around this fight, but now it's going to be a quadra kill, a Baron here for IG, and that's going to ride straight into this 3rd dragon, or this 4th dragon of the game.
I hate when AUG's greatest superpower casting with you makes me have to watch ugly things that I missed. That's why
I have to see it, everybody else does.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I missed that one, and normally I miss things that you point out in the replays, and I go, wow, that's really interesting. I feel like I've learned something. All I learned is the meaning of pain a little bit more after watching. All right, well, I mean, this is why we were worried about Creme on some champions that he doesn't feel like are his comfort picks, those melee mid laners. It's really just the issues for top esports kind of compounding on themselves even more as we get into this Baron power play push. It's the 3-man squad. Oh, with Jwei looming on over. They have targeted this bottom lane tier 2 turret. Rookie's going to throw down the Weaver's wall. There's cease disengage onto Fengyue. They send public execution in the background to see if they can find a train. JiaQi does a whole lot of damage. TP comes across from Creme. Here comes the rescue right on call. When we were looking for more for Creme, he makes a clutch TP to ruin this Baron plate. He's looking for more. Soboro is charmed up. There's a Grand Starfall coming over top. He's going to have to flash over the fat wall. Can NaiYou still chase him down with the scrap shield? I think Soboro is going to get out to tell the tale, but that Baron power play just falls completely flat for IG.
Look, if you're top esports, you're going to take every little bit of help you can get. Those were big kills going over, and the turret helping them in that fight. IG thought that they could just squeeze a little bit more from that.
No way, we just ulted for
Equalizer,
right?
uses there. I think that was just to try to disincentivize NaiYou, because NaiYou is really chasing him off, maybe trying to just protect the fact that they get 2 turrets in mid lane. The gold lead is completely evaporated at this point now. Top esports are even with their opponents. That's good gold being gained. 3 items hit here for JiaQi. And look, we're still getting hit by the turret. I'm going back into this play. Amazing knock up there. The W from this Poppy stops Rookie from flying in, and he's tanking turret shots this entire fight. Top esports abuse that fact. They get multiple kills with Creme teleporting in, and now their summoner spells are going to be missing for this dragon play. That could be either a Baron set up a little bit later on, or even this dragon right now. If IG can get soul point, that's good, but if top esports can stop it, I'm feeling a lot better about their chances in this.
Can they keep the momentum running here? Because both teams have shown a predisponence to mistake-riddled team fighting. So it's really going to come down to these setups, right? As you can see, IG are trying to set a trap. Jwei wants to get some vision back out on the board here as Creme gets his recall canceled and the dragon spawns. This is a very dark pit outside of that one word. Can't see the HP on the dragon if you are top esports, so they're going to give over Ocean Soul Point. Do they gain anything off the back of it? It really doesn't seem like it.
I see a lot of pings going on top side. Grand Starfall is coming up in 4 seconds. If Soboro shows, this is a dive. His entire team is on the bottom side. Take your recall, lose your turret. Do not die for this wave. It is not worth it.
Oh, no. Oh, no. It's almost like he heard you. Okay. But do they set up a double trap here? Because Jwei is sprinting towards this top side. Fengyue is going to complete his recall, and now it's 369's turn to be very careful about where he positions himself. But Jwei spotted on that wave, and Rookie coming on over. All right, so there's no look top, and that kind of means that Dragon was virtually for free that IG were able to secure.
If you are top esports, I think it's hard to justify a fight around that dragon because your AD carry has no flash and you're playing into Leah, Equalizer with the Rumble, and you have Vi. That's a no-go for me. I'm saying we're not fighting this, we're going to the other sides, or we're just looking to pick up some waves. No Grand Starfall meant it was impossible for them to find Soboro, and he was sitting in Fog War. So great play coming in from the top laner of IG. Save your team some headaches. Your solo laners have been caught out on sides already here in this game, and you set yourselves up with Soul Point with 2 Ocean Dragons. I think you can be really happy with the state of the game if you're IG.
Couple items that I want to point out that could kind of flip some of these closer fights now that we are just hundreds of gold apart. Curious how much more Jwei is going to open up here with this GA as he's already looking. Can kind of throw a bit more caution to the wind, but Creme chunking out Jwei decently. It's going to fizzle out that play a bit. So as we kind of return to some of these, cleaning up some of these wave states.
Wow. This picture-in-picture, come on!
That was disrespectful. That was disrespectful. So I don't know if it was
the fans in the ops booth.
But here's the thing I want to talk to you about a bit, all, because we kind of didn't get to talk too much about it during draft, I felt like, and now that JiaQi is 4,000 gold up on Photic as we currently stand, I feel as if this isn't necessarily a great comp for top esports to kind of protect how valuable of a bullet time you're going to need out of this misfortune now.
Oh no, this entire composition is JiaQi hopefully being a screen away and landing a bullet time, while the rest of his team is aggressing forward. They don't do very well when they're on the back foot, when they can't beat 2 objectives first. I will note, Baron is going to be spawning in 5 seconds, and they're the ones that have vision. This dot burst that they have in the banana on red, great for them to be able to see the entrance, but versus Sivir, you are always going to lose prio in mid, so we need to be very careful about what we're doing here in the river.
Oh, there's a good steadfast presence. Cancel out the vault breaker, but he whiffs the keeper's verdict. Fengyue is going to go down. Photic picks up that kill with the on the hunt speed up. Support out for top esports. Do IG over chase a bit? They feel like they might have an angle to get rid of NaiYou.
Oh!
That would secure the Baron, but Creme, he uses that Spirit Rush, so he's got 2 charges down. And that's another ult that comes off the board here. What can top esports now do with the mid lane all theirs alongside that top river? Oh, hold on, probably execution. Soboro's getting dove. The equalizer, it buys just enough space for this Rumble to get away from that pesky Ambessa.
No Baron is going to be started here. You always have to keep that in the back of your mind when you have a champion like Sivir in the game. She will shred this objective and completely nullify any kind of ability to get back onto the map fast enough. That was a very hefty investment there from Top Esports. They lost their support. He no longer has heal going into this play, but same can be said here for Jwei. No flash rel engagement means it is the terms of engagement versus IG going to be a lot shorter range than you would be expecting.
You know, as much as we're kind of worried about the comp around JiaQi for how these fights want to play out, it does feel like there's also a bit of desync with how IG's comps could operate with the fact that you've got this Vi, Talia that want to go kind of single target, I feel like, spread the map, look for these pickoffs, but then you've got a Sivir and Rel that are really about engaging these holistic team fights. It's what's making for maybe some of these interesting plays is right on cue, Jwei is looking for a pickoff onto 369. There is no public execution. It comes up in 5 mere seconds. The equalizer's up first. He flashes away. He's trying to spy time because NaiYou comes through the Grand Starfall. Creme is going to TP him behind just in time. Rookie is able to trade out top laner for top laner. As our AD carries go brawl for brawl. JiaQi finds his win, and that might be just enough to push this fight over the edge for Top Esports. Jwei comes back up and Jwei gets a huge crash down Magnet Storm, but NaiYou's still alive. They allow Jwei to escape though. It's got to be JiaQi who finally lays down the bullet time. It separates Rookie off the rest of his team, but he takes NaiYou down with him, flashes away from Creme. Can Creme chase him down with the Firefox Fangs? Yes, he can. Another bloody bout between Top Esports and IG as just a couple of members limping away.
That was so close, and thankfully for JiaQi, does he even find him? No, he's going to slink away. Now, Vi could stay. That's not going to be the case. JiaQi's just going to completely force this issue, start up the dragon by himself. Teleport coming in from IG. It's just Jwei. I mean, Creme can show up here at 10 seconds before 369 before he can teleport now. This is Ocean Soul. They need to be on this objective right now, but do they actually get the opportunity? Photic is running out of base. Soboro is running out of the base. This could be just the objective gone.
JiaQi, I don't... Okay, he sticks the reset. I wonder if he got anything valuable on that back.
He got Jwei here.
Huge.
That's massive. Control for midway. Vi's already in the river. They've got the Fey Lights sitting from the banana brush here around blue buff. Everybody's here. Pantheon's just shortly coming up on the rear. If Top Esports can push their way through this river, I think they have a good shot of being able to play this fight. They need to wait for some cooldowns, though. That bullet time is not quite up.
Neither is that Grand Starfall if NaiYou wants to find a way into the back line. Nonetheless, they have procced the Dragon first. Soboro is spotted on this flank, but they're not really reacting to it just yet. He's going to throw down the equalizer. That kind of traps the escape point, sets up for this Weaver's Wall that puts Fengyue on the wrong side. NaiYou's also trapped against it. Who gets the Dragon? It's picked up by JiaQi, so there's no Ocean Soul. Soboro runs into the back line with the Flame Splitter. Jwei's able to pop the JA off of Photic. Photic's now able to step on with JiaQi coming back alive, but the bullet time is canceled by a golden rookie seismic shove. No soul to IG. They'll take the fight instead.
That's still gold going over to Top Esports, but this is going to be a Baron. You have this Sivir. They should be able to grab this objective for themselves. An incredibly close game here as Top Esports might be fighting back after a disastrous start to the season. We thought it was all hope lost for them, and it still might be the case here. I can't believe we started this play an entire minute and a half before the Dragon. I think that in this play, it was good for 369 to turn. This could have been a solved issue if Fengyue had path in between, but he took a very conservative route into the bottom lane. JiaQi stands his ground versus this Sivir, and that Bloodthirster completely saves their ability to turn this. Again, Creme has a lot of damage, but it's about can he land this onto the members of Invictus Gaming. And when we come out of this play, this is still a positive trade coming in for IG, because while they lose gold, they get so many important summoner spells that we saw be so effective going into the Dragon fight after.
And here we go. You're pulling double duty on these replays.
Fengyue's Poppy has been so disappointing, man. Like, this ultimate hits absolutely nobody. Again, if they're able to get this onto a big target, it was something we highlighted in the draft, is if these Keeper's Verdict lands, it is so impactful. It will make these fights significantly easier, but he's been caught out and engaged. He hasn't been able to disengage fights either. It has been a tough game for what is supposed to be an exciting prospect coming in from the LDL.
JiaQi, though, really doing some heavy lifting. We talked about a lot of Top Esports players that we need to see more from. A lot of that onus has come on to 369 and Creme. I highlighted the fact that JiaQi's kind of been delegated a lot of Jin duty, which doesn't allow for a lot of playmaking. It's maybe misfortune where there's not a lot of that as well, but he saves them an Ocean Soul with one double tap and has been able to find consistently clutch kills to keep this game within arm's reach, as we are now back to another IG Baron power play. And funnily enough, the camera pans right over Ulk to the very turret that ruined their demise last time, as 369 trades the mirrored version on the top side. Creme nearly gets found by Rookie. 369 rejoins to try and protect this inhibitor turret. Both mid laners not going to have access to their ultimates going forward, as we're bringing everybody down here.
Whoa, this is a lot of our TP usage here. Soboro back to get back into this lane. 369 there, I thought there was going to be an immediate play. They still have these teleport shields. That's 30% of their max HP for 30 seconds. Jwei tries to look for something. Soboro, I mean, this ultimate is going to be massive if he gets it onto any members of top esports.
He's looking. He's off of vision. NaiYou's Grand Starfall. Wei goes in. Finds the cease and desist to layer the equalizer. They knock JiaQi out of his bullet time. Photic is able to stave off 369 on the backside as Wei comes back alive. But 369 gets himself out. He doesn't fall to Photic. And now IG are cornered 5 versus 3. They like their health bars, but there goes NaiYou, and he still gets stunned up by the unraveled earth. Everything's flying all over the place as JiaQi finds Photic. Rookie goes golden. JiaQi's trying to find the highlight moment. And he's gonna do it with a pentakill to win game 1 for Top Esports!
They're gonna teleport topside. Do they have enough damage? These are 45-second dead timer for so many members. It might just be Creme and his singular TP. A massive fight, a second pentakill, the second one of the season here. JiaQi, an unlikely Top Esports, have just found a way to come back from an almost lost game versus IG.
Some people were calling Top Esports' gameplay to start 2026 as some of the ugliest we've had. So you ask, who would be there to try and rescue it for them? It was a nearly JiaQi, who is starting to slowly fill into form, filling in for a player of JiaQi caliber, but Dimitri, he's got to do it at least one more time. No end angle for Top Esports.
Wow, we go back into this play. Jwei, massive stop here for Fengyue. Almost a perfect caster curse, maybe a caster blessing here. Stops the engage from Jwei, and Soboro's on vision this entire time, and I was a little worried from here on out with Wei re-engaging, but I think this bullet time completely stops any ability for IG to get on him. JiaQi, he gets his GA popped before this fight had ever happened. He's gonna get it soon during this fight, and there's nothing for them to be able to do. Photic never got in range to be able to deal damage, and Rookie gets caught out. Yeah, I mean, Photic stopped right there. This is the fight that we wanted to see from Fengyue, and he saves this game to set up for his AD carry.
Well, the hope now for Top Esports is that it doesn't take another penta from their AD carry to get things done. But I don't think we're going to have a real big conclusion to this game anytime soon. IG, recognizing how much they're on the back foot with wave states, are going to give over our 6th dragon of the game. So the next timer to really look out for is this Baron in about a minute and a half. Oh my god, JiaQi, no. JiaQi, no!
A lot of damage.
JiaQi, don't fall into the GA. Oh, he has to burn his flash, but the equalizer pops it. The hero of the last fight makes a huge blunder, and IG look to capitalize as Jwei goes to the engage into 3. Rookie uses the Weaver's Wall to rejoin up. Jwei is going to go down. There's the bullet time from JiaQi. Forces out the Zanyas from Soboro, but JiaQi gets out with his health bar intact, and 369 gets to run wild. JiaQi may have overstepped, but it's his team that picks him back up. And all they have to do is knock down one measly Sivir. That's it. Done and dusted. JiaQi quadra kill. Top Esports up 1-0 in this big-time bout.
2 Barons here for IG, and in both of them, they had negative power plays for them. They had negative net gold gained during that time. They lost on the top side. They lost on the bottom side. What was a completely one game here for IG in the mid game has completely shattered and completely collapsed now, as Top Esports, again, finally are able to end this game 1.
We had the 19-kill Elk performance, Gala pentakill Yunara, and now JiaQi 15-kill Misfortune. And I'll call it now, Elk, to earn himself player of the game. Likely to be his first one of the season. What a moment for Top Esports.
he was sitting on a massive gold all game long. We kind of mentioned it random parts during the game. It was like, oh, JiaQi actually has a 3,000 gold lead, but they're similar in CS. A lot of these have to just be off of turret plates. And he stood his ground versus Photic. Many times during this game, I was worried that Photic would be able to just poke him out with the Sivir, use his ability to just clear waves, but then Photic just walks up to the Sivir and love taps him to death. Like, that just makes it a lot easier if your enemy AD carry can't play the game.
Yeah, you know, it makes things easier if you go near melee range with the guy that outranges you constantly. That's
You would have thought.
Hey, listen, start employing that in your solo queue games. I'm sure it'll work out just as well as it did for JiaQi. It's not real advice. Don't do that. But, I mean, hey, I mean, also, like, what was one thing we talked about during that game, Alk, was that this is, one, a comp that you don't normally see put around a misfortune to do well. Two, how many ways are there to cancel or push JiaQi off of his ultimate? I mean, we saw it in that last fight. I'm sure we'll see the replay. Like, he doesn't get his full bullet time out. It just doesn't matter. That was the JiaQi that we got to see in those clutch RNG moments for them when we saw them in Split 2. It's awesome to see him finally get that moment here for Top Esports with all the pressure that's around him and the squad so far.
Oh yeah, Top Esports are expected to, at the very least, make like a okay run in playoffs, but from what we've seen in this series and just in general in the season, I think they're going to be hard-pressed to make very many best-of-5 wins happen, but the early lane was bad. I think that you can tell that the coordination in the first 10 minutes and 15 are not great, but we got into those mid-game team fights, and once the path kind of opened up, the game got easier. It made it significantly better when Fengyue was actually preventing engagements from his team as his Poppy. But as much praise as I want to give Top Esports, Invictus Gaming mid-games have been horrible all season long. Like, what are we doing in these games where we are throwing decent enough leads where we're up to 4,000 gold and we cannot properly engage, or we're overextending on a bot dive? What are we doing?
Yeah, so start to nitpick that, like, who, if you had to call out, like, player names wise, do you feel like that, like, some of that was? I know obviously decision making is kind of a team thing, but maybe I'm just coming off as a rookie fan. I felt like that guy was trying to lift up some of these fights as best he could towards the end there, but some other members I felt like were letting him down.
I think Jwei needs to kind of tone it down. I think there's a reason why we've seen Jungle and Bessa not really work. I know it wasn't in this game, but it's more emblematic of the style we tend to see from Jwei. When he's ahead, he's going to just try to shove his lead all the way down your throat as much as possible, and I don't think we needed to really see that when you're in such a good spot. You have a Sivir, you have a Taliyah, you do need to be frontline alongside your Rel, but you do need to choose your shots. I think that bot lane play where we saw JiaQi actually get a quadra kill the first time was exactly the space that we needed to see for them. That was really where the game turned for me.
Ooh.
Yeah,
LPL
and like,
graph.
we're gonna see Jwei in kind of the stats afterwards. He was in such a good spot. Like, him and I actually didn't have too many problems with Soboro in this game, and Rookie was hit or miss sometimes, but I need Jwei to step up in these fights.
Yeah, I think it does just kind of come down to the holistic team decision making. But I kind of like that point you made about Jwei's assignment, how it switches up across this game, because as much flack as we gave the Top Esports composition for not really covering for their AD carry, you're going to see in some of these later fights, right? We're late into a game. This is like a 3 to 4 item Sivir where she can really just bully whoever's in front of her. But 369, I have to praise him. It was a really questionable early game. It was a really questionable mid game. But JiaQi does not have these heroic fight ends if we don't see 369 constantly forcing Photic's entire attention out of all these fights.
Yeah, I think there's maybe some room for folks to argue that Jwei is finding engagements, but his team's just not able to follow up for one reason or another. And yeah, I mean, 369 just being a big nuisance in the backline. Again, I like watch this fight here, and Jwei's going in, Jwei's trying to get into the backline, but look at where Photic is. Yeah, Photic and Rookie are being completely tangled up here. I think it's completely reasonable to say, like, Jwei's engagements might have worked if they actually had a backline.
That's another, by the way, that's another heroic moment for JiaQi, is that he stops IG from getting an Ocean Soul that really could have been the nail in the coffin there if they could pick that one up. But here, again, look at 369, right? Grabs Rookie. What can Photic and Rookie do besides just chase down this Bessa in their backline? And once they turn around, it's a 5v3, and very little hope of winning out from that point on.
Another game where I am perplexed by IG's decision making and saddened by the result that comes afterwards, because this is supposed to be such a promising team. We had big hopes for them coming off of a Demacia Cup championship, but it is not necessarily translated to the early portion of this split. And, you know, as much as I think folks at home are going to say, like, this is a Mako waiting room, how does Mako save these positions? Maybe they just have a better eye in the mid game, but it is also going to take Mako a little bit to adjust. He hasn't probably been playing in too many of the scrims at this point, and because he's on a bit of a break, the team structure is going to change slightly. So I am not too hopeful that this IG project might end up taking a lot longer to get going, and that could potentially mean Split 3 is really where we see them kick it on.
You know, this kind of sounds like the similar cope that we had to start making for the IG Super Team last year, right? It was Split 3, then it was the qualification tournament, then it was, well, I only heard a few IG fans coping for them against the one all the roads lead to, so we won't get too much into that. Expect JiaQi to grab himself his first player of the game, deservedly so. As this flies, I would just like to point out, I think last year we had enough of them where we ran a funny, at least social, of the Slayer pentakills.
Oh, true.
I've got both of them to start out 2026.
That's true. That's true. And at least this one was more of like a dry pentakill. The other one for Gala was like, he's already gotten a quadra kill beforehand, and it kind of just like fell into his lap that he gets a pentakill. So
yeah,
you're doing great. You're just a magnet for these things.
Listen, any of these teams, you know, LPL English, we've got open lines. If you want me on your team's broadcast because you need pentakills for your players, for your high... Listen, I can be bot. That is what I am. That's what I appreciate.
Nice. Yeah. Wonderful.
Hey, listen.
Well,
don't hate the player, hate the game. All right. We're gonna get set though for a game 2 here after a roller coaster of a game 1. So let's get some cool down time, and we'll hopefully come back with IG a new plan for their mid games to try and force us a 3-game series. Are we gonna see maybe a big turnaround for top esports after some early season woes? All that and more is coming your guys' way after this extended break.